The spring game is this weekend, and you know we have to bring Cory Thompson back in to talk a little football. Today, we're previewing and discussing what we're going to see from the Ohio State defense during the spring game. Will it be extensive? Will we get a great look at the defense? Will it be very generic and vanilla? What players might stand out? We'll touch on all that and more right here on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Wednesday, April 13th in the year 2022, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. Here with us once again. It's been a long little hiatus, a little break between myself and Cory talking about the football. It's Cory Thompson from Ohio State Football with Scarlet and Great on the YouTube. Cory, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you, my brother. It's always good to be here, man. We always have a blast.
Yes, we do, man. It's good to have you back. It's also unfortunate that, like every other guest we've had on the show this week, we're opening with a very sour, bad topic. It's over the weekend. As everybody's heard by now. If you haven't, Dwayne Haskins unfortunately got hit by a car and died in South Florida while working out with his teammates. Man. What was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
Well, it's interesting. I opened up my DMs on Twitter, didn't even look at Twitter itself, and one of my friends said, "Haskins, no!" And I'm like, "What? Did he get caught doing something stupid or something like that? What happened?" I didn't imagine he had died. And I looked at Twitter and I was like, "Oh my gosh, oh man!" And I just, you're taken aback. I mean, he's a young guy and he's working to redeem himself in the NFL, whatever. And you as a Buckeye, he's a Buckeye legend, so you're just rooting for him like crazy all the time. And you just immediate heartbreak. Oh my gosh! And then you think of his family, of course, his wife, and oh gosh. And it got worse as the day went on. When you see, I mean, you're happy to see how many people loved him. You're happy to see what a good guy he was, because from reporters to players to people who just fans that just knew him, nobody had a bad word to say about him. Just like what an awesome person he is, and what an impact he made off the field. And you didn't get to hear that much about that while he was alive, unfortunately, but you did hear about it in his passing, and it just broke your heart even further. It's like, we just lost a really good dude. I mean, forget the football for a second. We just lost a good person, and it is heartbreaking, and I'm still heartbroken about it.
Yeah, man, it's tough. I liken this kind of to the Kobe Bryant situation in 2020 when Kobe Bryant passed away. I remember exactly what I was doing at that day. I was at home. It was a Sunday. I'm watching an Indiana versus Maryland basketball game on CBS. Kevin Harlan was on the call. I believe it was him and Dan Bonner. And he even said, we got the word there's something possibly going on with Kobe Bryant, but we didn't want to break the news in the middle of the game. And we weren't really concretely sure on what was happening. So we didn't want to come in and say this and it'd be false. So then people coming back at us and saying, why'd you break news that was false in the middle of a basketball game? So they even said they didn't really touch it at that time. But I'm sitting there watching the game. I got a text from my friend, and my friend Jessica's like, she said Kobe died. Didn't say her last name, Kobe died. I'm trying to rattle off all the people in my head about that she knows named Kobe. I know someone named Kobe, but I don't think she knew that same person. And then she sent me the TMZ article. Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California. I had never heard of Calabasas, California before. But I remember from that day, ever since that day, Calabasas is connected with Kobe and Gigi and the other people on that helicopter. Just past Saturday, I remember what I was doing. I was at home. I just got done grocery shopping, about to go get my hair cut, and then I get the news on Twitter. He got hit by a car. I said, wait, Haskins, like, you're joking. Like, he got hit by a car. Trust me, he's in the hospital. He'll be okay. He's a young man. He's going to fight. No, he's no longer with us. And the joy that I've gotten from seeing former players, current players, former coaches, current coaches, talk about the stuff that happened off the field, the person. I don't really care. I care about the stats. I haven't heard much like accolade talk about him to describe who he is as an individual. They have all described, just like Kobe Bryant, people talked about the man. Not so much the stuff he did on the court. They talked about the man Kobe was, the husband he was, the father he was, the love he had for his daughters, Kobe Bryant, the love Dwayne Haskins has for his wife, Haskins' parents. I mean,
his
human
sister
element, his sister, the human element of both men were put on Front Street when they passed away, when they died. And so that's one thing I've taken away from this is we're looking at the human, and the human element, the human being that he is being praised for the life that Haskins lived. And I think, Corey, that's the amazing thing about Haskins is that people remember all of the positive ways that Haskins impacted their lives.
Yeah, it's incredible. Even people who barely knew him, like Mitch Trubisky and Ben Roethlisberger, didn't spend much time with him, came out with touching tributes to him because, I mean, he was worth that. It was worth more than a thoughts and prayers tweet. It was worth a tribute to tell people what he meant to your life. I never had the privilege of meeting him or knowing him, but to hear reporters from the Buckeye beat talk about him because they knew him, these players talk about him, you get to know him a little bit through that, and you just like, wow, what an impact this guy has made. Corey Curtis is still out there talking about how much Dwayne meant to him on a personal level when Corey was going through some hard times, and Dwayne was there for him when nobody knew about it. And by the way, and Dwayne never patted himself on the back. Look at me, look at me, look at me. He just did this out of the kindness of his heart. He was just there for people, and he loved people. He had the most infectious smile. Young Simba will live on forever, not just as a Buckeye legend, which he is. He is an absolute Buckeye legend. And I will say it right now. I know stats don't matter. I get that. But to me, he's the best Buckeye quarterback to ever play. Again, that's secondary. I'm not claiming that's his major accomplishment. His major accomplishment is how he touched and impacted people. And to learn more about that side of him has been the only silver lining out of this tragedy. But obviously, you'd still rather him be here with his family and friends, and to learn, the life he lived with longevity rather than be cut so short at 24 years old, man. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's way too young. Obviously, he was set to impact this earth in a big way, and it just got cut short. And all I can pray is that he knew the Lord and he's home. That's all I can pray for him.
We are here with Cory Thompson from Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great on the YouTube. We're going to take a little switch to what's going to happen and take place this weekend in the spring game. The defense, new scheme, Leo, Jack, Bandit, all these different terms that I'm sure people saying they think they know exactly what this stuff means. They might not know exactly what this stuff means because all it is just words. They haven't seen it in practice. Now, granted, I could be wrong. You may be able to explain it the perfect way for even a toddler to understand. Great, but trust me, I get confused with the Bandit and this safety, that safety. Just give me free nickel, strong safety. Give me the normal stuff that I've known my entire life. All these new terms, they're great. They're perfect for the team. I like simple things that I've known my entire life. But Corey, off my rabbit trail, this defense is going to be fun to watch, I believe, in the fall. I think we're going to get a slight glimpse of what we're going to be able to see in the fall this coming weekend. What are you looking forward to seeing from the Ohio State defense in the spring game?
I hope Ryan Day lets them show off a little bit to build some confidence. But it's a risk-reward thing. What if the defense just isn't near ready yet and the offense makes them look silly? But I don't know. I'd almost like, if I were Ryan Day, now this is kind of conspiracy field, I'd almost fix it to make the defense look better. Because I'd want the fan base to like relax a little bit. Like, hey, defense is coming along. Because what happens is we've only installed it for like 2 weeks now, 2-3 weeks. And the offense obviously has the upper hand. And it's like, okay, we get in the spring game and people make too much of the spring game, no matter what happens. I mean, remember the year Dwayne Haskins, go back to him, beat out Joe Burrow for the starting job. Dwayne did not have a good spring game. No. He was like 9 of 19 or something along those lines. Obviously, it didn't matter when it came to the fall because he set every record on fire. Justin Fields, same thing. His first spring game with Ohio State, nothing to write home about. Really wasn't all that good. Then he comes out as a Heisman finalist, his sophomore year at Ohio State. Spring game does not matter. It's a glorified scrimmage, not even really a scrimmage anymore. So but the knowing that fan base takes a little too seriously at times, I just don't want the offense to light them up and then, Jimmy Knowles, same as the last guy, whatever. It's like, guys, you're gonna have to just give some leeway. They're not gonna have tackling most likely because they don't want injuries. They're probably going to play very vanilla base defense. Probably just going to get some young guys some play in front of a crowd, things like that. Let the freshmen that are there try to show off a little bit. It's basically what it is. It's just an opportunity for the coaches to get some guys in front of the crowd and see how they're going to react. But I'm hoping we see some flashes from the defense. But again, it's hard to do that if they don't allow tackling. So I'm hoping we see some flashes from the secondary more than anything, because the secondary has been the biggest problem the last 2 years, you could argue. And I want to see, I don't even know who's for sure is going to play or not, but I want to see young guys in the secondary like Jordan Hancock and Ja'Kalen Johnson have a few, ooh and awe type plays, so we can go forward to the future and say, man, we got some good young guys at corner. The silver bullets in the secondary are coming back. I want people to leave the spring game with confidence that this defense is on its way back.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to look at it. Just kind of way to build some confidence. It's going to be a great confidence builder for guys that have been there for a while, that have heard all of the chatter and from the fan base and from people like us that like talk about the team, and people that have seen and said, well, like a Zach Harrison, for example. Like, I'm not here to knock Zach Harrison, lift him up, tear him down, none of that stuff right now. He's been around for a while. He has seen Ohio State do some amazing things. He's also seen Ohio State get mollywopped in the national championship. He has seen a guy get promoted to be defensive coordinator and in the same season get demoted. And so he has seen some things on the field successful, some things on the field that have not been successful. He, I'm sure, was ripped in the in film session after the Oregon game and other games throughout the season for his play. He's also been praised in film sessions for his play. So a guy like Zach Harrison's been around for a while, seen a lot of things. This could be a great way for him to build confidence with the defense this year. New coaches, not just new coaches on both sides of the ball. And he's able to see, okay, look, we got these young guys and Jack Sawyer and JTT. They're coming along. We got linebackers we got some new fresh blood at linebacker. That probably not going to start this year, but we'll probably get some playing time. We'll see.
CJ will definitely play a little bit, yeah.
See, I've been wondering about that because I don't know. Okay. Little news about Jay. I'm hesitant playing true freshman at any time in the season. Now, granted, like latter part of the season, I get it. I was hesitant early on to play Trevion Henderson. I know what he brings to the table. He is still a true freshman. I think there was a little part of me that still thinks that Mayan Williams should have gotten more playing time, not even later in the season, earlier in the season, because of the true freshman tag that is tagged to Trevion Henderson. And so I'm the same way with CJ. Like, I think CJ is going to be good. I just don't know how much run he should get or will get early. New coach. But I do think Zach Harrison, though, this is a great way for him. You're talking about building confidence for the fan base. He can look at this defense and say, look, we've been killing it. We've been grinding. We've been working hard all offseason. We're on the field, and we're doing amazing things, and they might blow it. The team might blow it. His mind, the way that with the defense plays. So I'm kind of looking for a way to build some confidence, not just in the fan base, with the players and the new coaches. These coaches, they've been around for a while. This is a new place. And if they can get some confidence boosted for themselves, their own morale, based off what happens on Saturday, I think that's a win all around.
Yeah, I would like to see I mean, again, it's like, do they address the players beforehand and say, look, it's just something for the fans. Don't take it too seriously type thing. I don't know. I mean, how do they look at it? I've seen players in spring games past where they lost. They have smiles on their faces. They don't care, I mean, I agree with you, though. Zach, first of all, going back to Zach, he's got to be a leader on this defense. He has to be this year. He's like you said, he's a senior, been around the block. He's seen a million different things. He's played for Hafley and Carrick, Coach Combs. He can tell you the difference between an organized and good defense versus an unorganized, dysfunctional defense. He can tell you the differences. And if he's seeing what Jimmy Knowles is doing, the young guys can look to him and say, you've been around the block. Does this guy know what he's doing? And I hope it looks so far like the answer would be yes, this guy knows what he's doing. And Zach needs to be vocal on that. Like, trust in the new captain here. Okay. And that's why I want to see some splash plays. I just want again, though, even if you see splash play, you got to see them against guys like CJ Stroud, because everybody knows CJ's good. Nobody's going to worry if he has a poor spring game or has a couple of bad throws or whatever. Nobody's going to care, because we all know he's a Heisman front runner. We all know he's a front runner to go number 1 in the draft. We all know he's the kind of guy who can take you to a national championship. We all know that about him. So if you can have some splash plays against guys like that, then the fan base can't turn around and say, well, it was against a backup. It was against a bum. Who cares, right? They have to, wow, look, Ja'Kalen Johnson just picked off CJ. Just totally robbed him on that one, or something along those lines. Or, man, the secondary's giving CJ fits, or it's something along those lines. You got to see the defensive line look good against Paris Johnson and Donovan Jackson and DeJuan Jones. You got to see that. I don't know how much of these guys are going to play, but you got to see that. You can't see it against a 4-string tackle. Like Jack Sawyer last year. Look, I think Jack's going to be a great player. I love Jack Sawyer. I'm not dissing him, but he did it against a 4-string tackle last year when he had the 4 sacks in the spring game. Obviously, it didn't quite pan out in the regular season. Okay, fine. He shouldn't have expected that in the regular season from him. Right. And if you were basing that on the spring game, I say shame on you. But that being said, you got to, if Jack Sawyer comes out and goes against Paris Johnson and just eats his lunch, I'm going to start to take notice and say, wow, Jack, man, he's gotten better. But if he goes against Grant Tuton or somebody like that and eats his lunch, I'm going to say, well, I don't know how to gauge that. How good is Grant? I'm not sure. So, again, I want to see some young guys make some big splash plays and confuse our starting quarterback, who, by the way, CJ, to his credit, has said, Jimmy Knowles is giving me more looks as a quarterback than I've ever seen here when I've been here before in the past with the defense. In the spring ball, Jimmy Knowles is inadvertently making CJ a better quarterback.
That's a crazy thing to think about. This is not supposed to be an offensive conversation, but if your coach is making a Heisman contender, I say front runner. Call me a homer, whatever you want. Yeah. I think he is the Heisman front runner right now. Mm-hmm. If your new defensive coordinator is making you better in April, I feel sorry for the Big Ten.
Yep.
Because granted, okay, you're playing Iowa, you're going to play Wisconsin, you're going to play those schools from the West. The Big Ten East can't stand up to you. Maybe Penn State, maybe Michigan, maybe I don't know.
I think Michigan has the best chance right now. Yeah.
But if you're getting great looks right now in practice in the Woody, man, the guy who I think can throw for 5,000 yards this year, if he's on the field enough. Now, it could be a situation like 2019 where you're blowing everybody out, and so you're playing like 2.5 quarters and you're kind of just out of there. If that's the situation, of course, the numbers are going to drop. But I don't know, man. If Jim Knowles is doing this to CJ Stroud, these youngsters, I completely understand why Legend Cavazos wants to get a better situation. Now, I'm not knocking him for wanting to transfer.
No.
That's his decision.
You wish him the best, absolutely.
But he even said he wants to transfer to get a more important role, and he wants to play immediately. And I think that what we're seeing from Ja'Kalen Johnson and Jordan Hancock, they have stepped up, and maybe this new defense has helped them get better because it's forcing them to use their brains more. Cavazos is going to do great things at some place, some school, somewhere in the country. I'm sure he is. But man, if this is the truth right now, I'm kind of excited, Corey, because this is going to be an amazing thing to see where Jim Knowles is making the Heisman frontrunner even better in April. That might be some scary things. We might see some bigger plays from Burke and Brown on the outside. The Tanner McAllister playing that nickel corner or cover safety, whichever old school word you want to use. I'm kind of excited because this secondary, due to Jim Knowles, it might do some scary things.
I'm totally confident in Tim Watson and Perry Eliano to completely revamp that secondary. Jimmy's defense, sure, but these guys are great coaches.
Yes.
And I have full confidence that they're going to get the ball rolling. I'm loving what I've seen from Eliano is from a motivational standpoint so far. Yes. And not to mention his resume speaks for itself. Watson's resume speaks for itself. This is to me the best set of secondary coaches we've had probably since Hafley. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see we got talent there, man. Cam Brown's a good player.
Yes.
Denzel Burke's on his way to being a first-round draft pick.
Yes.
Proctor comes back. You got some talent at safety. Tanner McAllister is a nice player, all Big 12, I believe, if I recall correctly. Ronnie Hickman, He had a coming out party last year. Court Williams is a really nice player. We have a lot of talent. And then Jordan Hancock and Ja'Kalen Johnson. And don't forget guys like Turrentine and Johnson Dunn and things like that. These are young guys that are up and coming. And I'm not, again, Carey may not be the defense coordinator for this team, but he could spot corner talent.
Yes.
So he got these guys for a reason. And look at Denzel Burke, was barely a 4-star when we got him. He was our best corner last year. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm extremely excited to see this revamped secondary that looks like it's giving our wide receiver core, our ridiculous wide receiver core, fits in spring practice. We have C.J. Stroud passing to Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming, Jalen Ballard, Caleb Burton's there now, and I think he's there now anyway. Cam Babb, I got to make mention of him being back. And our secondary that's been much maligned the last couple of years is giving them fits in practice. I like what I'm hearing.
I like it too. Corey, who are some players? You mentioned a few players, honestly, that you've mentioned that could be having some big roles and could be doing some big things this weekend. Who this weekend specifically? Give me 3 players you're specifically looking to watch, see how they perform on Saturday.
On defense?
Yes, sir.
That's a good question. I think since it's mainly a 7-on-7 drill, essentially, let's be real. I want to see Mike Hall in the middle.
Whoa. Can we just stop and realize Corey just said 7 on Mike Hall lineman, correct?
Yeah.
If I'm okay, I'm not crazy. 7-on-7 and lineman watching in the scrimmage, it kind of doesn't go hand in hand.
No, I agree.
What you're going to say?
But there is a pass rush there. It's just, but the run game's going to be null and void essentially. So that's kind of why I say 7-on-7. But again, they're going to have a pass rush. They can't exactly sack the quarterback, and they shouldn't. By the way, I'm not saying they should do that, but they can two-hand tag. I just want to see Mike Hall battle because he's, by all the indications, he's had a really great spring. I've felt great about him since he committed to Ohio State. He's got nasty hand movement. I just think he's one of those guys who's quick, and he's got 280 pounds, doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. It's ridiculous. He reminds me of John Randall, if you remember back in the day.
My gosh.
If he's John Randall for us, that's a good thing.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing.
I want him to do the same eye paint, too, that John did. Anyway, and let's go to linebacker. I want to see C.J. Hicks, see what he did. I mean, he's had a couple of nice flashes in the spring, from what I understand. I think he's the perfect kind of linebacker for this defense. 6'4", rangy, lengthy, and he's quick, he's fast, and he's also aggressive. He's just good. You can have him in against the run or the pass, and I just think he's that all around line. I just want to see what he does, how advanced he is in this defense so far. He's a smart kid, so I think he's probably picking it up. But he's also going to have some freshman moments, obviously. Secondary, I'll tell you what, man. I want to see the young corners. I'm going to say 4 names. I want to see Ja'Kalen and Jordan. That's 4 total. I want to see these young corners. I want to see them all over our unbelievably talented wide receiver core, because our receiver core goes 6 deep at least. So I want to see them against our best of our best and see how they do. I can't wait to see that aspect, because I think there's a point to be made about the spring game. It is a pass fest for sure, but that's where you can gauge some of these guys, right? It's like they're going against Harrison and Egbuka and Smith-Njigba. They're going against the best of the best in the country. These young guys. Let's see their growth.
I'm gonna do the same thing you did. I know I said 3 earlier. You broke the rules, gave 4. I'm gonna break my own rule.
I'm a rule breaker.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna break my own rule and go 4 and kind of go every level like you did as well. First one is JT Tuimoloau. I think that last year with him committing on July 4th of July, he waited like his family. Of course, his family was in on that decision, and they waited, took their visits, canceled the Alabama visit, and then he committed to Ohio State. I think him getting a full or up to right now, somewhat of a full offseason to this point with Ohio State, I'm thinking he's going to be a little bit more in shape, chiseled. I'm losing some of that baby fat that he still has on him. I'm watching him. I was really close to saying Jack Sawyer, but I think JTT is going to be more so my guy for today, for the spring game. Because I think that he can be someone that can flash. I do know for a fact that Jack, a little defensive end position, that maybe the 2-point, the stand-up guy. He is somebody that can play that. Now, I don't know if he's doing that in practice at all. I don't know if they're going down that road. But from what I have seen from him in high school, he can play with his hand off the ground. So I'm curious to see where they have him. But he's one guy I'm looking at this weekend. If he is lined up across from DeJuan Jones, numerous reps, and he's beating him, which I think he can. Watch out, offensive tackles in the Big Ten. DeJuan Jones, you're still going to be a good player this year, but there are still some things that he can work on. But I still think that JTT can consistently beat DeJuan Jones in pass pro over and over and over. At linebacker, I am going with someone that I think might not get enough talk, but it's Reed Carrico. If Ohio State goes 3 linebackers, they do play Iowa this year, they do play Wisconsin. There will be probably more 4-3, traditional 4-3 look in those games. I heard Bobby Carpenter say that Reed Carrico might be that strong side linebacker with Cade Stover no longer at linebacker. I want to ask you about that here in a second too.
Okay.
But with Cade Stover no longer at linebacker, that's the spot for Reed Carrico to play. I think that Reed Carrico could be somebody that can really take a huge step in this game. Now, granted, it's your 15th spring practice and you got a little break and you got to get back at it. But I think that Reed Carrico is somebody that I am looking at this weekend to see and look at how he looks, how he plays, how quick he is. And if they do go 3 linebackers at any point in time, how does he look at that strong side linebacker position? Then breaking my own rule in the secondary, I'm looking at Court Williams and then Tanner McAllister. So Court Williams is an interesting one. He's talented, but I don't know if he's going to start. He's going to be in rotation consistently. I'm not sure if he's going to start. Now, maybe the heavier sets, he might get some run and might start or more get.
I think he's behind Hickman right now, if I recall correctly.
But he's like, I do too, but I'm like, he's 220. And I think that 220, there's a spot for him in that role to be on the field. It's just
he's going to be on the field. I guarantee he gets 35, 45 snaps a game. I just would be shocked if he didn't.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
That's not bad.
He's too talented to keep off the field.
He is. I'm going to Court Williams and Tanner McAllister. McAllister's just new. He's just a new guy.
Yeah, you just want to see him, right?
That's it. I just want to see you play, buddy.
I thought it was. I'm so glad we got him as a transfer because he's like a coach on the field, just helping our defense come along. The brilliant moves we made said, okay, we're switching our defense up. We got a guy in here. We go get former D coordinators to be associates and grad assistants, not grad assistants, but analysts and things like that to help implement it. We go get the linebacker, basically the linebacker coach from Oklahoma State that worked under Knowles. I cannot remember his name at the it's like Cory something. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. And then, of course, you get Tanner McAllister come in and is like, hey, I need help from all you guys to help implement this defense as fast as humanly possible.
Cory, last question for you. We're almost out of time. Give me about 2 minutes if you can. I know we could get long-winded.
You're good.
Do you think Cade Stover should have stayed at linebacker? Or do you think he should play both ways when called upon to have a heavier set on defense?
No, I think we have plenty of talent on defense. I love Stover. I think he could have been great on defense. Don't get me wrong, but we have. I mean, look, I'm not cutting on Hart, Royer, and Rossi and them. We don't have any. And G. Scott. I'm sorry, I don't want to leave him out. We don't have anybody who has the total package like Stover on the tight end position who can block and receive. He's going to be a day one starter. He's a leader in that room. He's got a mental toughness to him and a physical toughness to him that we need at line at the tight end. It's just not there right now, and Stover's got to save the day, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same path. I was one that was a little uneasy. Not saying uneasy like I got mad, but a little. I understand why he went back to tight end. That was the bigger need. I just didn't know if you go 3 linebackers who was going to play that strong side. But of course, if you got to just open up my brain, Jay, open your brain up. You see there's talent at the linebacker position. Mm-hmm. Somebody can play strong side linebacker if they need him to. Or even that Leo spot. You got defensive ends that can play Leo, so I'm not really too worried about that either. But yeah, I'm kind of there as well. The bigger need is tight end. He's going to start at tight end or linebacker, whichever one he's at. Bigger needs tight end. Go there, flourish. I think he could have 15 catches this year. I wouldn't say 20 the way we use our tight end, but I think he could have 15 catches.
5 touchdowns.
Yeah, 15 catches, 5 touchdowns. Was probably doable, more of a red zone threat. But as we saw in the Rose Bowl, you're not getting in the red zone much with this offense when it's hitting on all cylinders. Cory, this is fun, man. We're gonna do this again tomorrow on Thursday's show. Talk a little basketball. Yeah, a little break from the football. Do a little basketball talk. And trust me, that'll be a little heated, interesting conversation that Cory and I will have. Hasn't been recorded yet, but it will be fun. Cory, if you could let everyone know on Twitter where they can catch you, follow you, and then where they can catch your show as well.
At Scarlet Great CT, just one word on Twitter. I love to interact with all the fans, Buckeye fans. I mean, not our fans, because I'm not going to claim we have fans. And Ohio State Football with Scarlet and Great Empire on YouTube. Check us out, our podcast.
And guys, you can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. That's the same on Instagram as well if you want to follow me on the Instagram. But for Cory and I on this Wednesday show, Hump Day edition, we are out. Come back tomorrow. Trust me. Cory and I have not talked basketball extensively at all, maybe a little bit over text. Don't know if we've done that either. But trust me, you want to hear this conversation Cory and I have about the basketball team, because there will be a lot of things we say that I'm sure you will agree with.